Right. I sent them the YouTube link just to check on it.
Good afternoon. This is Danny Laws of DaBrian Marketing Group. We're going to wait a few moments as individuals and viewers start to join. We'll kick the presentation off in approximately 2 to 3 minutes just to make sure that we allocate enough time. Please hold tight and we'll kick this off momentarily. Good afternoon. Welcome to our DaBrian Marketing Group Improve Your Online Marketing and Generate Leads presentation. As most of you may or may not know, DaBrian Marketing Group is a full-service digital agency and located in Reading, PA. We do work in a number of different industry verticals, and for the course of this presentation, we're not going to really continue to stay on our soapbox. It's more along the lines of providing some useful information for the individuals that are on the call and seeing how we might be able to point them in the right direction and provide some guidance with specifically improving online marketing and lead generation. With that being said, we take a look at the slide. The first slide, I'm going to kick this off and head into slide 2. And the gist of this is very holistic in approach of the entire presentation, impacting company reputation, your customers' experience, and that experience primarily leads to what's happening online. When we talk about the brand's reputation, that reputation is all over the place. And one of the things in particular that's going to impact the brand's reputation and the customer experience are technical issues. So what you can see in this particular slide is that there are some issues, were some issues, and that those issues are declining. Those technical issues limit the ability, as far as search engines, to capture relevant information and list it within the search engine results. At the same time, it also helps to identify duplicate content, which is not a great experience for the search engines nor individuals that may be looking at information on your site. As we speak to those things, the other component that is mission critical is security. We know a lot of clients and prospects and individual business owners are utilizing content management systems, CMS systems, if you will, to create websites, to manage your websites, and to update content, and to integrate with other platforms such as email, social media, what have you. But what we have a tendency to see is, when you look at these issues that we talk about as far as technical issues, is that if you have technical issues on your site, there's a good probability that it's not being maintained to the level that it should be from a security perspective as well. So if you're having issues identifying what we refer to in the industry as crawling or technical issues, error pages, those types of things, there's a good probability that there's a gap with plugins, with modules, the system and the themes being updated. However you want to define those elements, which will adversely impact the user experience across multiple platforms. So what we mean by that is very specific to mobile, desktop, and tablet. So updating and securing your themes, your platforms, your modules, your plugins are going to impact the user relationship. So what we're trying to do is in order to generate those leads, the overall importance here is to make sure that you're investing time on your biggest marketing asset, which is your website, to have a consistent reputation and a good user experience for those individuals that are coming to the site, so that you're getting optimum reach and visibility, as well as a great user experience amongst those individuals that you have driven to the site. An example and a way to kind of handle this is what you see before you as well, is a bit of an audit from a very popular tool that looks at the crawling components of a site. So identifying those error pages, those server issues that may exist, as well as high-level tags, titles, and descriptions, to make sure that the user, when they're searching for information, can clearly understand what's on the page and what to expect when they land on the page, more specifically from the search engine results, whether it be Yahoo, Google, or Bing. Moving on to the next slide. The one thing that we talk about in reinforcing this, in light of some of the changes as far as technical issues that I mentioned before, is the upcoming modification to Google, the algorithm, quote unquote, the recipe on how Google disseminates information, is that mobile, as of April the 21st, will become increasingly important. And what you see on this particular slide, that's going to impact your ability to drive online sales and generate leads from organic, specifically from the organic search results specifically, is an example of a website that's a law firm in our area. And they happen to have a pretty decent look and feel site. They're on a WordPress platform based upon looking at the code behind the scenes. And what you can see to the right-hand side is that when you look at mobile, it doesn't designate that mobile-friendly component, of which Google is doing to some degree already. And what you see to the far left is an example of where that in the red box, where mobile-friendly is being annotated within the search engine results from a mobile device. The particular device used in this scenario is a Galaxy S6. That's pulling this information in and was shrunk down to incorporate whatever information needed to be visual for today's presentation. But this is a clear example of the impact that responsiveness, technical components, and or issues, where it's going to rear its quote unquote ugly head over the next couple of months and moving into the future as it pertains to organic search traffic, and maximizing organic search visibility that could lead to a lead and or a sale via the online medium. So the next piece of this at a high level is connecting with your prospective customers with relevant content. And when we speak to this particular piece here at DaBrian Marketing Group, we're really focused on taking a look at your target audience. So clients come and from your particular perspective, the individuals that are on the call or listening or watching the video, is that it's more along the lines of who's your audience, what are you trying to accomplish, what's within the strategy, and aligning those pieces of content to that target audience based upon their intent and possible search terms and trends. That information is relevant across the board. And when I say that, it's relevancy from a social perspective, it's relevancy from a content perspective, a content marketing perspective, to get those individuals to download that information and resonate with it. So what you see before you now is some targeting information around Reading, PA, Berks, what have you. But we want to take that geographic footprint into account when we're talking about online marketing and generating sales. So when you look at this piece, it speaks to the volume of searches around SEO, search engine optimization, what have you, and also tying together the number of impressions based upon the age group in which you're going after. It also speaks to device, which I mentioned before. You have the desktop, mobile, tablet, what have you, as well as the gender of the individuals in the population that might be searching on a keyword or phrase. Let me warn you, not all of this is intertwined. These images that are on the screen are taken from multiple areas. It's not consistent across each piece, but it's a representation of what the possibilities are, and how you might go about connecting your prospective customers with relevant content, understanding what those keywords are going to be. In the case of SEO, hypothetically, you see that 35 to 45 group, you understand what they're going to be looking for, what those touch points are, and what terms and phrases, search terms and phrases, may be more prevalent for that particular age group, and thus creating content that aligns to that particular audience in the purchasing process, if that makes sense. So you want to take those items into consideration as you speak to and do the research on keywords, whether it be from a paid and or an organic perspective, and that it aligns to the target audience in which you're going after. The other piece of this is, as I mentioned, was the intent component. There is a piece on DaBrian Marketing Group's blog around keyword intent by Justin Miller that speaks to and gives you some insight as to how you might align that. So I would highly recommend taking a look there and looking at some of that content and some of those sources that are there to help along with that process. The final piece is volume and ranking from a competitiveness perspective. When you look at this slide and you're talking about competitiveness and what have you, you get an idea of how many impressions, what the population is, and then at the same time, you can use Google keyword related tools as well as Microsoft Bing related tools to give you the level of competitiveness around a particular keyword or phrase that would align to this target audience, in addition to the number of impressions on a month-to-month basis. So the point here is, again, improve content, the content message, relevancy, and target search terms for your core demographic, your target market, and make sure that aligns. An example of this is very much so associated with an event that we recently had in Reading that refers to Google Partners Connect. And what we have a tendency to do from a business perspective as a business owner is to talk in industry jargon or terms that may not be associated with our target audience. And the example that was given on Partners Connect was recreational vehicles. For most folks, a recreational vehicle It's not something that they're going to search for. They're going to search for motorcycle insurance, boat insurance, RV insurance, those types of components. So again, speaking to the target audience with relevant information that is consistent and with their expectations are going to be is critical to the process. The other piece of this that we want to speak to is maximizing print and online spend. So we talk in our space, and a lot of clients come to us and they say, you know what, I want social media. I want to do social media, and we want to be out there on Google, and we want more likes, and we need more followers, and those types of things. Well, in order to do that, you've got to have great content. And that's still the case when we start talking about print and other online forms of media. And as you can see, the landing pages and the multi-channel components all play into this as far as the purchasing process is concerned. So we look at these items and these things in isolation based upon medium, but what we're not always taking into account is the value that they're having on the purchasing process. And this goes to print, and it goes to the online components, one of which we just spoke of, relevant content. What you learn and what you take away from your target audience, specifically keywords, messaging, things that resonate with your target audience via the online medium, whether it be SEO or pay-per-click or even email marketing. Why wouldn't you apply those learnings, those keyword components, the phrases, the vernacular that works in those vehicles to your print and to other online for sources of media, excuse me. And when I say that, it should be, if SEO components and keywords are resonating with your target audience and they're converting online, and then you see other pieces that are converting via pay-per-click, there's a great opportunity to test them within your landing pages to make sure that that content aligns with the landing pages of any other marketing that you're utilizing in order to generate leads. That speaks to referral, direct, organic, paid, and email related marketing. So you want to take those items into consideration when you start to lay out your tactics, and that includes print, banner ads, and media buys, because ideally you're going to want to send them to a very specific location that they're going to convert. Relevancy, regardless of how you look at it, whether you're talking about quality scores from a pay-per-click perspective to simple metrics such as bounce rates and time on site, are going to help guide that process of making sure that you're disseminating relevant content to your target audience and looking at how these touch points are impacting overall sales. An example of this for print. So when we're talking about print, utilizing those keywords and phrases, as we mentioned, that were utilized in other mediums, SEO, pay-per-click, email, and at the same time, perhaps tagging the URLs, using a vanity URL to get a better understanding of what's happening from that particular print piece is an opportunity to do that, as well as call tracking that may be associated with that print piece. Those are definitely some opportunities to test your language, your keyword components, and maximize your spend for print and other forms of online media. The idea here is to improve the long-term effectiveness of your budget regardless. And I think if you're looking at opportunities to do that, you're going to continue to grow your leads and sales. And the classic example is, if you look here, we're looking at what we refer to as the assisted conversion piece. And what you'll see is that there are, in fact, multiple touch points in the conversion process. So if you're disseminating print, there's value there still. If you're doing online media buys, there's value there, but it should be tagged and looked at from a holistic approach and not necessarily specific to that platform. Look at it in the grand scheme of things of how it's impacting lead generation via your online marketing, whether you're download or call, or whether you're an e-commerce store, you're still going to be able to leverage some of that information to move you in a positive direction. So gaining local customers, even from an online perspective and lead generation, is going to be mission critical. And the reason why we say that is it's already in your own backyard. There's an opportunity there to kind of connect and talk to and speak to some of these pieces, and making sure that you look at this in a holistic approach and that your information as it pertains to the local market is accurate. What you see here is an example of a financial services institution, a bank, credit union, what have you. And what we have a tendency to see is wrong information, which to some individuals may say, are they out of business? And then it also impacts the local search rankings of that business. So the Google My Business, quote unquote, the maps, however you want to define it, making sure that information is listed when somebody utilizes a mobile device and or tablet, that those opportunities could be missed because the information is not accurate. That's not only specific to Google, but also the major components that are feeding into other directories. Yellow Pages, Facebook, Super Pages, Bing, making sure that those items are there, Yahoo, you name it. Those components are playing a piece in, or having a level of involvement of gaining local customers via organic search, and are a part of that multi-channel process and or funnel that we showed on the previous slide. So there's definitely an impact there and an opportunity to streamline some of this, making sure that that information is up to date and that local traffic, local organic search traffic is coming. The one thing that you don't want to do is to allocate marketing dollars or marketing budget for items that are low-hanging fruit, that are realistic and achievable. And one of those items that generally goes overlooked in the grand scheme of things is the local customers, and driving local traffic via accurate business listings across all platforms. And that includes the print, that includes the search results, as well as directories and industry postings and sponsorships that may be out there as well that point back to your site, and that information within those directories that list your business and help drive traffic. So an example of this is we recently had a client that had a brand change, name change, and the name was transitioned over to a new brand name, and they had sold off the previous brand name to an entity, and they no longer had access to these platforms to update that information. This is a classic example of maintaining your listings, your logins, in order to disseminate accurate information, to redirect information, and to make sure that the information is accurately reflected within the search engines, as well as other directories that feed into smaller search engines. So keep that in mind. I think the major piece here, as far as driving some of this, is helping your business through a great user experience, which consists of functionality, content, and security. There's been some discussion and some rumors around secure, using HTTPS as opposed to the traditional components from a security perspective that may impact SEO, or that in the future, or that could impact SEO in the future. So definitely something you want to keep in mind. The other piece here is reaching your target audience, utilizing their verbiage. And going back to the example of recreational vehicle, that does your target audience very little good. They're probably not going to utilize that term or phrase when you add that content, and they may not understand what that means when they see it on your site. So I would highly recommend utilizing their speak and speak to their intent of what they're looking for, whether it be from a research perspective or shopping perspective, that there are those opportunities to appear in the search engine results across the board as far as that is concerned, based upon intent. The other piece here, as a reminder, is maximizing paid advertising for ROI. The other tickler here is from a Google Analytics perspective, as well as Adobe related products, web trends as well, and other platforms, is the ability to show return on ad spend and import print and other online sources of media into Google Analytics to help you get more reach and visibility and more insight into how you go about maximizing that print and online media purchasing process and what's attributing to sales and lead generation. The final piece of this is increasing local brand awareness via verified accurate listings and looking to make sure that things are coming from the local search results. Those are some of the things that are ideally going to help to drive reach and visibility, are going to help organizations at the end of the day sell more products and improve your online marketing. And when we speak to improving online marketing, is it efficient? Is the budget contacting the appropriate people? Is it generating leads? And are those leads translating into sales and profitable relationships? With that being said, I will move to the next slide, and opportunity for Q&A. If there are any questions around the presentation, feedback, comments, what have you, be more than happy to take and feed any questions at this point. And we'll hold tight for roughly a minute or two to see if we get any questions, and then we'll take the broadcast offline. Thank you very much. And at this point, I'll wait on mute to see if there's any questions that come up. Thank you very much.